They are accusing Democrats of saying we spend too much. For anyone that wants to entertain that thought, I ask you to think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them, that their Social Security check was too high, that teachers are paid too much. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?
You've got Democrats saying government isn't doing enough. And then you've got Americans staring at $32 trillion in debt, wondering who exactly this system is working for. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. When was the last time you thanked the government for interfering in your life? Stick with me, because this argument just got completely flipped on its head.
President Biden already lowered the deficit by $1.7 trillion. They say his budget would cut the deficit by another $3 trillion by eliminating wasteful spending on big oil and pharma, we're told. But it is, in fact, our Democratic colleagues who prefer to maintain their massive subsidies for the elites and the wealthy in their so-called Inflation Reduction Act just last year. My friend from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, said, quote, I ask you, think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that? I'll say it. I'll say it right here. I don't want the government doing most of the things that the government is doing to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their lives. Federal, state, and local. When was the last time you had a bureaucrat show up and you said, oh, joy, thank you. I'm really glad there's a bureaucrat here. When was the last time you were thankful for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 almost for every man, woman, and child in America? Anybody thankful for $32 trillion in debt? Anybody? Anybody thankful for a border that's wide open being exploited by cartels while fentanyl comes in and kills our children? Everybody thankful for that Department of Homeland Security that doesn't actually secure the homeland? Everybody thankful for an FBI that went after Scott Smith and labeled him a domestic terrorist for daring to defend his daughter in a school board meeting because she was assaulted in a bathroom? Anybody thankful for the IRS knocking on your door, auditing the poor and the minorities 3 to 5 times more? People thankful for that? Are you thankful for the EPA or the Department of Interior that sent a man to prison because he had some ponds on his ranch in Montana? We have a government that is weaponized against the American people and is undermining our liberties, and they want more of it. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle want more government. They want more taxes. They want more spending. They want more.
When was the last time you thanked the government for interfering in your life? Not for protecting you, not for serving you, but for interfering, regulating, taxing, surveilling, and telling you how to live. Because in today's political climate, we're told something strange, that the real problem in America isn't too much government, it's not enough. You hear it constantly. Politicians argue that Americans want more programs, more spending, more intervention. They say nobody ever complains that their Social Security check is too high or that teachers are paid too much. But look around. Americans are staring at a national debt of over $30 trillion. That's nearly $100,000 for every man, woman, and child in the country. And people aren't asking for more government. They're asking, who is this system actually working for? Supporters of big government often claim the deficit is being reduced, that waste is being eliminated, and that new programs are designed to help ordinary Americans. But at the same time, subsidies continue to flow to massive corporations, bureaucracies expand, and agencies gain more power over everyday life. So here's the question. If the government is supposedly helping everyone, why do so many people feel like they're losing control over their own lives? Why do citizens feel like they are being managed rather than represented? Think about the moments when government shows up in your life. Is it usually when something good happens, or when there's a problem. A letter from the IRS. A new regulation that makes your business harder to run. A federal agency telling you what you can and cannot do with your own property. We are told these institutions exist to protect us, yet many Americans see open borders, rising crime, fentanyl pouring into communities, and agencies that seem more focused on politics than public safety. And when citizens start asking questions, they're often dismissed as misinformed or extreme. The phrase weaponized government used to sound like a conspiracy theory. Now it's part of everyday political debate. When parents are labeled threats for speaking at school board meetings, when regulatory agencies pursue small landowners over technical violations, when investigations seem to target one political side more aggressively than the other, people start to wonder whether government is neutral at all. A government that is supposed to serve the people begins to look like it is managing them, controlling them, and sometimes even punishing them. This isn't about whether government should exist. Of course it should. Roads, defense, courts, these are necessary. The real question is about scale and trust. How much power should any government have over the daily lives of its citizens? At what point does protection turn into control? And how much debt, regulation, and bureaucracy can a nation sustain before the system stops serving the people and starts sustaining itself? These are not fringe questions. They're being asked by millions of Americans who feel disconnected from Washington, disconnected from institutions, and increasingly skeptical of the idea that more government automatically means better outcomes. So when politicians claim that Americans are begging for more government, maybe the better question is this. If government is doing such a great job, why is public trust at historic lows? Why do so many citizens feel less free, less secure, and less heard than they did a decade ago? And the most uncomfortable question of all, is the government still working for the people? Or are the people now working for the government?